The year is 2025. A new dawn is breaking, not just for China, but for the entire balance of power at sea. Whispers from shipyards and intelligence briefings are growing louder, hinting at a transformation that could redefine naval warfare. China is on the verge of a monumental leap. Nuclear-powered aircraft carriers are moving from rumor to reality, signaling a new era in maritime technology and ambition. This isn't just another ship, it's a bold signal that Beijing intends to challenge US maritime supremacy and project power globally, reshaping the strategic landscape. The world's oceans, once dominated by a select few, are about to become far more contested, with new routes and rivalries emerging. Chinese nuclear carriers patrolling distant waters are sending shockwaves through naval commands worldwide, forcing military planners to rethink their strategies. For years, China has built the world's largest navy by ship count, assembling a formidable fleet that now spans the globe. Now it's aiming for quality, especially in aircraft carriers, the ultimate symbols of naval power and technological prowess. Nuclear propulsion unlocks global reach, freeing carriers from constant refueling and fundamentally shifting the strategic balance in regions like the Indo-Pacific. These ships can remain at sea for months, projecting power without pause. A fleet of Chinese nuclear supercarriers would let Beijing sustain deployments far from home, protect vital sea lanes, and respond rapidly to crises anywhere on the globe. With this capability, China can assert military presence where it previously had none, influencing events and alliances in distant regions. For the US Navy, long uncontested in carrier dominance, this is a serious new challenge, one that could alter decades of naval strategy. Regional powers, India, Japan, Australia, are watching with growing concern, aware that the balance of power in their own backyards may soon shift. China's journey here has been one of meticulous planning and industrial might, with vast resources dedicated to mastering every aspect of carrier construction. The nation has studied the successes and failures of the US, Russia, and France, learning from each to refine its own designs and strategies. The move to nuclear power is the next step in this grand strategy, promising unmatched endurance and operational flexibility. As these new titans take shape, the world waits to see how they'll reshape global power on the high seas, and what new rivalries and alliances will emerge in response to China's nuclear carrier dream. Not long ago, the People's Liberation Army Navy, or PLAN, was little more than a coastal defense force, its mission limited to safeguarding China's immediate maritime borders and deterring small-scale threats. The Navy's focus was almost entirely on protecting China's shores, with patrol boats and small warships rarely venturing far from home waters. Its fleet was composed mostly of small ships, frigates and destroyers, designed for local operations and coastal patrols, not for projecting power far from China. The idea of Chinese nuclear-powered aircraft carriers once seemed far-fetched, almost like a distant dream. But with China's rapid economic growth and expanding global ambitions, Beijing launched a sweeping naval modernization program, investing heavily in new technologies and shipbuilding. The transformation has been nothing short of astonishing. The plan has evolved into a true blue-water navy, capable of operating far from its own shores. The Liaoning, a refurbished Soviet carrier, gave China its first real taste of carrier operations and set the stage for future advancements. The Shandong, China's first home-built carrier, soon followed, marking a major milestone in indigenous shipbuilding. However, both carriers are conventionally powered, which means they are limited by fuel capacity and operational range, requiring frequent refueling. These constraints are driving China's push for nuclear propulsion, an essential step for achieving true global reach and sustained operations. The plan's growing assertiveness in the South China Sea and Indian Ocean clearly signals its expanding ambitions and desire to protect its interests far from home. The Liaoning, Shandong, and the advanced Fujian are important stepping stones, each representing a leap in capability and technology. The ultimate goal is clear: a carrier fleet that can operate anywhere, anytime, just like the US Navy, projecting power on a global scale. This is where China's nuclear dream truly begins, setting the stage for a new era in naval power and competition on the world's oceans. The Type 004 is the centerpiece of China's nuclear carrier ambitions. Though details are scarce, it's expected to rival the world's largest supercarriers. Its nuclear propulsion is a game-changer, offering virtually unlimited range and endurance. Unlike conventional ships, it can sail for years without refueling, deploying anywhere on Earth for months at a time. Nuclear power frees up space for more aircraft, weapons and fuel, boosting combat power. Advanced systems like electromagnetic catapults will launch heavier, more capable aircraft. Mastering these technologies puts China in an elite group, boosting its prestige and credibility. The Type 004 isn't just an upgrade, it's the cornerstone of China's future global naval strategy. At the heart of the Type 004 are advanced nuclear reactors, scaled up from China's submarine fleet to power a massive supercarrier. These reactors must generate immense power for propulsion, combat systems, and aircraft launch. A key leap electromagnetic catapults, or EMALs, already tested on the Fujian. EMALs allow smoother, more versatile aircraft launches from heavy fighters to UAVs. The air wing will likely feature stealthy J-35 fighters, KJ-600 early warning planes, and advanced drones. This mix boosts air superiority, strike, and surveillance capabilities. Integrating these systems is a monumental engineering task. If successful, the Type 004 will project air power across oceans, a true hallmark of a global military power. It's a leap beyond China's current carriers in both propulsion and combat effectiveness. Nuclear-powered supercarriers like the Type 004 would give China true global reach. Unlike conventional carriers, they can deploy anywhere, for months, without refueling. This enables persistent presence in regions like the Indian Ocean, Persian Gulf, or even the Atlantic, protecting China's interests in sea lanes. A nuclear carrier strike group is a potent symbol of power and a versatile tool for diplomacy or intervention. This puts China on a collision course with the US Navy, long the master of global carrier operations. The emergence of Chinese nuclear carriers signals a shift in maritime power, raising the stakes in global hotspots. Nuclear carriers also give China greater strategic depth, operating from unpredictable locations and complicating enemy targeting. The Type 004 is about projecting power and enhancing China's defensive posture on the world stage. Chinese nuclear supercarriers will send shockwaves through global strategy, especially for the US and Asia-Pacific. For America, it means a peer competitor at sea, forcing a rethink of naval strategy and modernization. In Asia-Pacific, US allies like Japan, South Korea, and Australia will feel heightened pressure, potentially fueling an arms race. The Indian Ocean, vital for trade and energy, will see more competition as China seeks to protect its interests and project influence. This could intensify rivalry with India and force smaller states to navigate between major powers. Globally, Chinese nuclear carriers signal a shift in maritime order and power dynamics. China's ability to deploy such assets gives it new leverage in international affairs. The world's oceans are set to become more crowded and contested than ever before. Despite rapid progress, China faces huge challenges in building and operating nuclear supercarriers. Designing safe, powerful naval reactors is a complex, high-stakes task. Integrating these with propulsion and EMALs requires engineering mastery China is still developing. Operating a carrier strike group, coordinating escorts, subs, and logistics demands experience the US has spent decades building. Training skilled crews and pilots will take years. Global logistics remain a hurdle. China's overseas support network is still limited. Without robust logistics, sustained distant deployments are tough. There's also debate within China: are nuclear carriers the best investment, or would resources be better spent on submarines, missiles, or cyber warfare? The prestige is high, but so are the costs and risks. China's nuclear carrier ambitions could reshape global naval power. The Type 004 could narrow the gap with the US Navy, both technologically and psychologically. But building carriers is one thing, operating them as integrated global strike groups is another. The US advantage lies in decades of experience, doctrine, and a vast logistics network. China faces a steep learning curve, and the gap in operational know-how remains wide. There are also doubts about the survivability of large carriers in an era of advanced missiles and submarines. While China's nuclear carriers will boost its power, they won't close the gap with the US overnight. Still, the competition is intensifying, and the maritime order is changing. China's nuclear-powered carriers, led by the ambitious Type 004 project, represent a quantum leap in its ability to project power far beyond its shores. These vessels, powered by advanced nuclear reactors, can operate for extended periods without refueling, giving China a persistent presence in distant waters and the ability to respond rapidly to emerging threats or crises. If China can overcome the significant technical and operational hurdles that come with building and maintaining a nuclear-powered fleet, its Armada could usher in a new era of multipolar naval competition, challenging the dominance of established maritime powers and shifting the balance at sea. The true impact of China's nuclear carrier program will depend on several factors: how many carriers it ultimately builds, the skill and experience of its crews, and the strength of its support fleet and logistics network. Sustaining global operations requires not just ships, but a robust infrastructure to keep them supplied and ready. China's strategic choices, whether to use these carriers for power projection, protecting vital sea lanes, or even humanitarian missions, will play a major role in shaping global reactions and determining how other nations respond to its growing naval reach. The United States isn't standing still. It's actively modernizing its own fleet, investing in next-generation technologies and strengthening alliances to maintain its edge at sea. While China's rapid rise is impressive and signals a new era in naval competition, the US will likely remain the world's top naval power for the foreseeable future, thanks to its decades of experience and global network of bases. The gap between the two navies may narrow as China continues to invest, but it won't disappear overnight. The competition will be intense and closely watched. China's pursuit of nuclear carriers is a strategic game-changer, transforming the People's Liberation Army Navy into a true global force, capable of operating far from home waters and influencing events worldwide. Whether this formidable armada will fundamentally reshape the world's oceans or simply mark China's arrival as a major maritime power remains to be seen. The coming years will reveal the true extent of this transformation. One thing is certain: the Dragon's new fleet is sailing into uncharted waters, and the world will be watching every move it makes.